Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. Please enjoy this video on the Political Voices Network.
So, one headline, protecting democracy from Trump now in the hands of congressional GOP Supreme Court. Your panel mate Saturday night in LA was Adam Schiff, who he has pledged to prosecute, and people like him, Liz Cheney, whoever he decides.
Yeah.
What happens when you have Attorney General Aileen Cannon, I don't know, Jeff Clark, whoever? I mean, what happens when he tries to prosecute people that have committed no crimes?
Yeah, the latest name I saw floated was petty criminal Matt Whitaker, who was Attorney General for a hot minute previously, right, before Bill Barr took over and was even worse. What happens is we still have the institutions of government, DOJ, the military, populated with largely honest, ethical people doing the work of the American people. And there will be resistance. I don't know if that resistance will hold, because they may be driven out, they may be fired, they may be, dragged out by the scruff of their neck by Trump's, soldiers. But this is going to be a daily battle, and we're going to have to fight it night and day against the coming darkness and corruption. And we will, because you know what? There's honor in the fight, Steph. Win, lose, or draw, regardless of the odds. There's honor in this daily fight, and that's why we're going to keep it up.
Yeah. Well, who was it? Tolstoy? Somebody was quoting, but it's just wrong doesn't suddenly become right. You know what I mean? Just because more people voted for it this time. Just to your point, so a Republican lawyer who Trump is reportedly considering for Attorney General, what's his name? Mike Davis.
Yeah.
On X, when Trump won, tweeted, "Unity, we have the votes, and they tried to kill Trump." He said, "Here's my current mode. I want to drag their dead political bodies through the streets, burn them, and throw them off the wall." He declared America isn't worthy of Trump and that Liz Cheney should lawyer up.
Yeah, well, let's see if that's the kind of guy that the Senate will confirm. See, listen, Donald Trump, I don't believe Donald Trump cares one whit if he converts our democracy into a dictatorship or if it remains a dictatorship. His calculation will be, how can I maximize my profit? If I can maximize my profit in a dictatorship, let's do it. If I can maximize my profit in a democracy, I'm happy to leave America as a democracy.
I hope he's
I don't think all the Republican politicians necessarily are enamored of the idea of converting American democracy to a dictatorship. So listen, we're going to find resistance anywhere we can in all corners, including across the aisle. And I do believe Trump is going to overplay his hand because he's nothing but miscalculation.
Well, I hope he's lying about everything like he was last time. He didn't do any of the things he lied to us, that is millions of people, I think I was saying to Chris yesterday, what breaks my heart too, is we already fired him once. Millions of people knew then what a crappy job he did as president. It's just, I think it's so interesting. Let me finish this, Max Burns, and get your take on it. He just said the president, he now inherits a nation deeply weakened by his own toxic brand of politics. Our divided and exhausted nation will now need to fend off the constant extra-legal whims of a president who also thinks the Supreme Court is functionally immune from prosecution for any act he undertakes. If Trump's first term was any indication, we won't need to wait long for the next constitutional crisis. Believers in the rule of law are in for a rough 4 years because though Trump contradicted himself countless times during this marathon campaign, he never wavered in his distaste for the rule of law or his admiration for strongman autocrats. Members of the press can expect Trump to at least try to make good on his oft-repeated pledge to rewrite the nation's press freedom and libel laws. The rest of us will be along for a bumpy and chaotic ride. It matters that Trump won his office in a free and fair election. It matters that free people voluntarily chose to cloak Trump in the power he almost certainly will abuse in far-reaching and destructive ways. Our country made the choice to walk down the dark path of Trump's resentments and conspiracies. We will come to regret it. I think you're right about him overplaying his hand, but but you're right. It's tough to sugarcoat things this week, in terms of how bad it could be.
Let's finish up with this, Steph, because he will overplay his hand. And there's one thing that a dictator has no use for: co-equal branches of government. So Congress, look out, because you're going to have to start acting based on your own self-interest, not on giving Donald Trump whatever he wants. And federal bench, including the Supreme Court, watch out, because Donald Trump has no need for a Supreme Court given that he is now the dictator he believes he, was destined to be. And go ahead.
Just real quick, we're running way long, but since you brought up Supreme Court, the other headline, Trump's win may expend conservative control of the Supreme Court for decades. Can we expand the court while Biden's still in office? How does that happen? It
happens by legislation unless President Biden decides to use core constitutional functions that the Supreme Court said Donald Trump got to use with impunity to commit crimes to try to steal the presidency. Does Joe Biden use any of those powers to try to preserve our democracy? I'm sure that they are strategizing about that right now.
All right, Glenn, thanks so much, honey.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Glenn.
we went long as usual.
Yes.
Love you so much.
Okay.
Hang in there.
Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirschner wherever you generally get your podcasts.